How's it going, guys? This is Avollon, and welcome back to Avollon's World. We're in the main base area from once. It's been a hot minute. I mean, we did work on the Swampland expansion area off that away, but, I don't do much around here. I mean, I swapped out some lamps, I do some minor cosmetic things here and there, like add trees and a bunch of moss and bamboo and, the mangrove trees are somewhere over there. I can kind of see them off in the distance. But today we're going to be working on this. This is something I had built when 1.12 came out in the snapshots. The first snapshot came out, and then we didn't get anything for like how long. It gave us the concrete and the glazed terracotta, and I don't remember if it changed the color of the wool or not and made it more vibrant. I honestly forget. But I had wanted to build something because I'd updated to the snapshot because it was a stable release. I wanted to build something concrete, and this is what I built, the Enchanted Library, and it is a very outdated structure, and it's kind of, I built this after I built the library, so it's kind of been like tucked in the corner here. Okay, or I can just not jump on the roof. It's right up on the edge. I like this structure. I use concrete again, but when I built this, I had a black nether brick texture pack, and it looks so much better. And it's kind of a little claustrophobic in here. It's a little cramped. We don't have much room for expansion, really. We have 1, 2, 3 chests, and that's not a lot at the rate they add enchantments. It seems like one at least every update, especially if there's like a new item. 1.13 added the trident, and then 1.14 the crossbow, so could be multiple new enchantments, and this could get outdated really quick, and it's not the prettiest building. So instead of being the Enchanted Library, we're gonna make it the Grand Library. And I have a use for the allays. They are going to be a purely cosmetic thing, but you'll have to wait till later on in the episode to figure out what I'm going to do with them. First order of business, as I quit rambling on, is we need to take this building down to the ground. Get rid of it. We're starting from scratch with a completely different block palette. So, let's do some magic digging, shall we? That's better. Like it was never here. Now we got a wide open canvas to start laying the foundations to the new Grand Library, which is going to really be a tower, so you can just call it the Grand Tower or the Grand Library. It's going to be a library, so it's the Grand Library, but it's going to be a fancy tower up in the sky. Anyways, I got a shulker monster over here, bunch of resources. I'm going to go through them real quick so you can see everything. I made that Blaze Farm last episode to get myself a bunch of emeralds and 3 shulker boxes of cobbled deep slate. They really need to add a deep slate generator like they did with the stone and cobblestone and the basalt. We need a deep slate one. It is such a pain to mine out a lot of deep slate. It's not instant mine. I honestly use TNT a lot and just blow a bunch of holes in a solid block of deep slate down below my world here. It works, but yeah, we need a generator. Mojang, please, come on, we need it. Anyways, I'm gonna start laying out the foundations. For a sense of scale, this is the base, and just the base. This is going to be the supporting structure in the foundation, and yes, it did run off the side of the hill just a tiny bit, missed the river, but that's fine. It looks pretty good. I do have some stuff to put around the edges to help make it, flush better with the terrain. I don't know how well it's going to look in the hill aspect. In the flat world, it looked pretty good. In the hill aspect, I'm not quite sure. But I need to add the decorations before I can do that, because we need to add a staircase and the border around the top. So let's get to that. So for all intents and purposes, the base of the tower is complete. This is the foundation that the tower will sit on. I do have to go in and replace some and texture it with crack variants and whatnot, but you might start to see skulk. Yes, I'm taking advantage of the skulk here. I think it looks fantastic that you can put the skulk up against literally any block and then put the skulk vein on the surrounding blocks, and you have a nice soft transition between the two. No matter what color or what texture it is, it always has a nice blue to whatever textures underneath it. And they are slightly animated. Yes, the skulk veins are slightly animated as well. And we're going to be using skulk throughout the rest of the tower as well. I might also put like little patches that are like corrupting bits of the, I guess you could call it corrupting, if that's what you want to call it, bits of the tower. But this keeps going all the way down, helps transition the foundation of the tower into the base of the hill here, and even goes in the water, which I think was a nice little touch. You probably won't see it all too often, but it's there, and it's cool that it can be waterlogged. And overall, I really like how it turned out. You can also notice we have the staircase in place. I wanted to go for like a kind of wraparound staircase instead of just one flat, straight staircase. I wanted it to kind of like curve around the building, curve with it. And overall, it looks pretty good. I still, like I said, I have to go in and texture everything, but this will be the main entrance to where we will go through the tower, and then down below here will be the entrance to below the tower, which will then poke out. I was going to show you over there, but, you know, it's skulk. It'll eventually poke out to the bottom area here. Oop, that's too fast. Which will connect up to this path. We'll have to make some sort of other extruding structure. And where did I get 2 deep slate tiles from? Anyways, it'll have some extruding structure and connect up to this path, and it'll pretty much probably never get used, but it connects this path to that area back there. That's essentially what I was going for. So let me start getting the actual tower in place. I do have to add a little bit more to the base. I have to add like a couple pieces, a couple strips of skulk on the top here, and then I can start actually adding in the support tower, or the supports to the tower. I really don't know, to be honest. I just kind of built something and I'm copying it over from Creative. So yeah. So I'd say this is definitely going to be grand, because I'm thinking it's probably going to end up being like up to here tall. You're going to be able to see this thing from miles, and both those horses' tails wagged at the same time there for a second. I don't know if you saw that. Easily distracted, like always. Anyways, this is the base, the foundation and the base of the tower, I guess is what we'll call it. It's very flat, but I also tried to indent things to make it look a little bit better. You got the skulk, some tiles. Obviously, I do have to do some texturing still. Don't actually know if I will ever do that, because that involves me going around and replacing blocks. But who knows? Maybe I'll get there. We'll see at the end of the episode. But now we gotta actually build part of the tower, and I want to build like another mini section of this on top of it, and then another part of the tower, then the roof, and then there's going to be a protruding little cross tower floating something, who knows what I'm going to call it, off on the side to give it a little bit more of an asymmetric look, so it's not so symmetrical. And yeah, this is just getting started. Hi, welcome to the test world. This is where I test everything out. I was here a couple episodes ago, I think in the This Is the Way episode. Maybe the Dripstone one too, I'm not entirely positive on that. But this is what I've been building over here, and then copying it over into the actual world. You can see where I tested that out, and I was going to use black stone, and I've now went ahead and ripped out the stone brick and removed it from the block palette entirely, because I just couldn't get it to work, because it has the same texture. I don't even have it in my inventory anymore. Oh man, I'm in all caps, I must be mad. But if I come over here and I, plop this down like that, it's the same texture, but it doesn't have a nice smooth transition that I would like, so I have to create like a barrier like this between them. But then it comes into the problem that, is it worth it? And I've come up with a solution of just using the skull, because that is the accent color we've been using, and it will help continue it up the tower. And you can see the 2 different types of offshoots that we're going to have. We're going to have one where you can fly right in, and then a little offshoot where you can look out. And I've already started to test out how I'm going to design the interior. Of course, I didn't put in a staircase or the rest of the floor, so I don't know exactly where the staircase will end. But that was just kind of like a rough estimate because I wanted to see, because it's not as big as I had originally wanted it to. I wanted it to be the same size and round and not square, but I just couldn't get something that I liked down, and I'm glad I took the time to do this in creative, because doing this in survival, ugh, would have been horrible, because I would have, built it all with stone bricks and been like, man, that doesn't look that good, and then have to go fix it. So what we're gonna do now is essentially get this over onto the actual world, and we're going to go ahead and do a time lapse, because I haven't done a time lapse in forever. We're gonna get this entire actual main section of the library built with the offshoots, and probably the little offshoot tower, which is going to be smaller, and as you can clearly tell, I haven't built it yet, but I have a general idea of what I want to do for that. So should start to hear some music, and let's get into that time lapse, shall we? So hope you guys enjoyed the time lapse. We got some progress done and a little bit more that wasn't in the time lapse. So we did the main front library section. I still gotta figure out if I think I gotta do another border and then continue this trend here up, and then the roof, I think, is what I'm gonna do. But in the time lapse you saw, it is also very dark up here, so things can spawn. We got 2 elytra platforms, as well as 1 lookout tower, and then, excuse me, Mr. Skeleton, we've got the little outlook here where the allays are going to be, and it is very small. It's not going to be very big, and we're only ever going to have, I think, 2 allays in here, so nothing crazy. And I do want to use their, like, sorting feature, or whatever they do. I honestly don't know what to call it. But I needed to have a good amount of room. So there's like a good amount of blocks that I have to work with here, because obviously I gotta have them pick up the item and then it go up, or who knows, maybe I'll make it more of a manual thing where I press a button and something drops out of a dropper and then they can put it in. Who knows? I haven't gotten that far. But I'm leaving it nighttime because I've got the arch support down, which doesn't look half bad. I don't know if it's the finalized design, but it's alright. But you can see over here we got some skulk dangling out the bottom of this tower. Now I've got all the angles and arches and everything down, and this will get a little bit of a wall section like that yet. And as you can see, I started with the skulk there, and then another roof on top of it, yada yada. But I decided and had this idea to use the skulk as kind of like a vine type thing and have it dangling from the bottom. So this will probably be the section that the skulk is like taking over. So I might even go in and replace some of these deep slate bricks and tiled deep slate bricks with skulk itself to have it seem like the skulk is kind of like spreading throughout this floating tower section. But I use the skulk catalyst as like the end caps, and I think they work so perfect in this scenario here. Like, it blends perfectly, and that's kind of like been the entire idea of this tower, is it just blending perfectly. And if you couldn't guess, I'm gonna only be finishing the tower. I will have to decorate it and do the interior and everything next episode. So let's get some more walls. Some more walls. Let's get some 4 walls and a roof put on that thing, huh? So the big reveal. We got 4 walls. We got 2 roofs. Actually, I have 8 walls and 2 roofs. Actually, 4 walls and a roof. Ta-da! There it is in all its glory. It looks pretty good. I am satisfied with how it turned out. I really like the skulk vines or veins, whatever you want to call the dangly bits there with the catalyst. You know, those are actually called the veins, but looks really good. You got some end rods that light up the structure, so it's not just one giant dark tower. This section is dark, but I love how the skulk kind of animates too. It adds a lot to the build. I did have to add some frog lights to the roofs because of lighting issues, and there are open catwalks and walkways and everything, whatever you want to call them, and I don't want a creeper falling on my head and blowing a chest up with a bunch of enchanted books that I worked hard to get. Definitely didn't enslave a bunch of villagers to get them. No, not at all. Enchanted them all by hand. Villagers were not involved in this process. Legally can't say I involved villagers. Just don't look over there. Anyway, we got a nice roof on both of these structures here. You don't know how long it took me to come up with these. I can do ceilings, but roofs, oh, my arch nemesis, I tell you. I had to go through like 6 or 7 designs for this one and this one. Oof, I had to like stop after this and come back a day later to try and figure out a design for this roof, and I think it turned out pretty good. I'm not entirely 100% happy with it, but I am satisfied with it. The main key part was getting the angles and the different protruding bits out, and that really helped shape it a little bit more. You can see, kind of in a little bit of a glimpse there, that I did have some of the skulk infest part of this structure over here. I was debating doing it over here, but I decided against it, and maybe we'll do that next episode, you know, if I change my mind, which I probably will. But anyways, this will be the Allay library. This is where I have my shulker monster. I wanted to call him Skulk. I've been working with Skulk too much, I tell you. It gets to you. But anyway, this isn't all I did. I also terraformed the terrain over here, making the river just a little bit wider, adding some seagrass, adding some sea pickles, and some batches or splotches or spots of mud, whatever you really want to call it, because this is still 1.10 rivers, and you know, they don't look that good compared to all the other terrain. I still have to expand this section a little bit, but once I get that done, it's just the one that runs between the solstice and the main base area that I would have to essentially terraform to make it look just a tiny bit better on the map. And speaking of the map, I did update it, so let's go take a look at it. And guess what? I actually replanted the Netherwort farm. Yeah, ever since I put this tower here, I had not replanted it. And here it is, replanted. Will I harvest it? Probably not. But it's replanted at the very least. Anyway, down the grand... is this called the grand map room too? Yeah, this is not a... It's grander than it was, but... Anyway, tower looks really good. Skulk pops up as black. I thought it would have been blue on the map, but, you know, what do I know? Floating tower is over the river. Before I terraformed it, it was over landmass, so now it's purely over the river and what landmass is on the main island here, which I guess you can call it an island, right? It's got rivers yeah, it's an island. What do you know? Anyway, it looks really good. I might have to go through and kind of widen the river in some bits here and there, but I'll do those in between episodes or something. You know, who wants to watch me terraform a river, right? You know? Anyways, that's gonna do it for today's episode. Like I said, next episode we'll do the interiors. So that shouldn't take too long to get that episode out. And then we are one episode away from starting the big redstone farm projects that I have. I think 3 of them in mind with multiple episodes each. So yeah, look forward to that. We've got one more episode, and then we can start on the first one, which I already know what it's going to be, and it's going to involve some shulkers. It's going to make a shulker farm. Yep. Crazy, I know. You know, I remember starting this series and saying, yeah, one of the things I want to do, I put the data pack on this world to give me 2 shulker shells, right? Instead of having a chance of getting 1, you would always get 2 if you killed a shulker, because I wanted to use shulker box unloaders. And it's now going into the 70s in this series, and I've yet to build a single one of them. I don't even have any on this world. I had some in the gold farm before I reset the nether, but I switched that to chest because it just made more sense. But yeah, I have some plans for a bunch of shulker shells, and I'm going to need a bunch of shulker boxes for these crazy redstone farms, or shulker farm included. So anyways, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next one where we'll work on the interior. If you haven't done so already, make sure to leave a like. This tower took a lot of planning and thinking, and yeah, I don't normally do things in creative, like I said. I had to with this. This is something that I couldn't do in survival and then be like, oh no, I don't like it, and tear it down, because it would have taken way too long for that. Leave a comment down below what you think. If you have any suggestions or improvements that you would think of that you could, spice things up a little bit. Open suggestions all the time. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Farewell.